The evening begins much the same as before. The lights are low, the air feels still, and once again we return to the quiet rhythm of sleepy food lore. In this space, everything moves slowly. The sounds of the day have softened, leaving only the murmurs that ask for nothing but rest. Welcome back. It is good to find you here again, settling in for another unhurried journey through stories of food and time. The kind of stories that do not ask much of you, yet seem to wrap gently around the edges of thought, softening them until sleep begins to gather. Tonight, we will wander through the world of ginger, a spice that needs no grand introduction. For most of us already know its scent before its name is even spoken. It carries a warmth that feels both common and uncommon, the sort that appears quietly in a kitchen, in a cup, or in the air after rain. There is nothing unusual about ginger. It has always been there, in biscuits baked around holidays, in teas simmered on the stove, in small pieces added to soups or syrups. It belongs to the everyday rituals of comfort. Yet within its familiar warmth are stories that reach deep into soil and centuries. The root, or perhaps more accurately, the rhizome, is a crooked and knotted piece of earth, pale gold under its thin skin, fibrous and fragrant when cut. It is not a showy ingredient, but one that earns its place quietly. A fragment of root that travels from land to land, carried in pockets, traded in bundles, remembered in recipes that cross oceans. Before we trace those stories, there is a small calm to be noticed. The way a piece of ginger sits on a wooden board, dry and unassuming. When sliced, it releases that sharp, bright scent that wakes the senses but never startles. It is both comfort and clarity, warmth and brightness together. In kitchens, it is a kind of constant companion. It waits patiently beside garlic and onions, or among jars of dried spices. Not always the first to be reached for, but often the one that quietly completes the dish. And for many generations, its uses have stretched beyond the kitchen, into medicine, ritual, and trade. If you think of the foods you've eaten throughout your life, ginger might appear here and there, a soft note in something sweet, a spark in something savory, or a gentle hum in a cup of tea. It lingers without demanding attention. That is the nature of ginger, grounding, steadying, quietly present. So tonight, as we move through its history, its travels, and the way it connects the ordinary with the extraordinary, we begin from that familiar place. Not the excitement of discovery, but the calm of recognition, the knowing that this small, knotted root has always been nearby, waiting to be remembered. Before we can follow the stories of ginger through time, it helps to pause and look at what it truly is. The plant itself grows low to the ground, its leaves long and narrow, reaching upward from the soil in quiet green clusters. But the part we know best lies beneath the surface, the portion that is pulled from the earth, cleaned, dried, and held in our hands. Ginger is not, strictly speaking, a root, though that is what most people call it. It is a rhizome, which means it is an underground stem that grows horizontally through the soil. From it, new shoots rise to become the leafy parts we rarely see once the plant has been harvested. In the soil, the rhizome stretches and branches out like the lines of a map, each segment capable of continuing the plant's life. When harvested, the ginger appears lumpy and uneven, a series of nodules joined together like the knuckles of a hand. Some pieces are short and round. Others reach in long twists that curl back on themselves. It does not have the uniform perfection of a polished fruit. Instead, it carries the look of something shaped by time and touch, naturally irregular and endlessly distinctive. The outer skin of ginger is thin, often described as papery, though it can be slightly tougher in older pieces. In young ginger, the surface is smooth and pale, sometimes so delicate that it can be scraped away with the edge of a fingernail. In older rhizomes, the skin toughens and darkens into a soft tan, holding faint traces of the soil it once rested in. Beneath that fragile covering lies the familiar golden flesh, firm yet moist, fibrous, and fragrant the moment it is exposed to air. A piece of ginger can be broken easily along its natural seams. It rarely resists separation, instead welcoming division into smaller pieces. Each section feels solid in the hand, a shape that fits comfortably into the palm. The texture beneath the skin has a faint sheen when freshly cut, its fibers forming subtle rings that circle inward toward the center. Every slice releases a clean, bright scent, at once earthy and citrus-like, warm and slightly peppery. To peel ginger is to perform a small act of awareness. The thin layer of skin lifts away with gentle pressure from the edge of a spoon, revealing the consistent pale gold beneath. It is the kind of kitchen task that encourages stillness, a motion that requires no rush. From there, the knife meets resistance that feels both soft and resilient, a reminder that this plant grew strong under the soil, absorbing warmth and water through its months of hidden life. When cut crosswise, ginger shows fine threads that run lengthwise through its flesh. These fibers create the balance between its crisp structure and its flexibility. They are what make ginger feel slightly stringy when grated, and what hold its form when sliced for tea or soup. The surface glistens faintly when exposed, releasing scent before flavor, as though the aroma is eager to move ahead of taste. Holding the cut piece in the open air, the scent deepens and expands. There is warmth without heaviness, sharpness without harshness, the qualities that make ginger feel both lively and grounding. Some compare it to the freshness of a forest after rain, others to the brightness of clean linen in sunlight. Whatever the comparison, it always returns to balance, something awake and something calm together, as if the plant remembers both fire and soil. If you let the scent linger on your hands, you notice traces that shift and fade slowly. The aroma settles into the skin much like memory, not immediate, but familiar once recalled. Ginger has a way of doing that, staying quietly near even after it seems to have left. And perhaps that is part of its nature, to remind us that warmth and steadiness can exist side by side in the simplest form of a knotted golden root. The life of ginger begins in the earth, where warmth and moisture meet. It does not rush toward the light like tall plants do. Instead, it grows outward and along the surface just below the soil, expanding gently through a network of pale roots and thickened stems. The soil remains mostly undisturbed as this happens. What takes shape underground is quiet, unseen, and entirely content to remain so. A piece of ginger can begin the next generation. Farmers or gardeners take a healthy rhizome, sometimes already showing small buds, and nestle it into loose, welcoming soil. The buds soon send up slender green shoots, while the buried portion spreads slowly outward. Each small offshoot becomes another section of the rhizome, continuing that horizontal journey through the earth. Growth arrives in increments, not through height or spectacle, but through persistence. The soil around the plant stays warm and humid, encouraging the ginger to thicken layer by layer. Weeks pass, and then months, before any change becomes visible from above. Underneath, the rhizome continues to grow in quiet determination, sending its roots deeper for moisture while broadening just beneath the surface. In tropical and subtropical regions, the seasons settle into this predictable rhythm, planting at the beginning of the warm rains and harvesting as the air begins to dry. Above ground, the ginger plant remains modest. The leaves are narrow, almost like blades of grass, and the stalks rise only knee-high. Nothing about them would draw much attention in a field of greenery. Yet beneath those simple leaves, an entire network of life is forming. Each node and junction marks a slow conversation between soil, water, and time. Harvesting happens only when the cycle feels complete. In some places, young ginger is gathered early, when the skin is still pale and nearly translucent, yielding a gentle, almost floral aroma. In others, growers wait longer, allowing the rhizomes to mature, strengthening their flavor and scent. The decision is often guided by touch and instinct, by the weight in the hand, or by the sound of the soil loosening around the roots. The process of lifting ginger from the ground is done carefully, often with simple hand tools instead of heavy machinery. The soil is loosened first, then the plants are lifted as whole clusters. Each rhizome is separated along its natural seams, much like breaking bread along its crust. The air that follows release is rich and earthy, carrying the scent of the harvest, a mixture of soil and sweetness that signals completion. Once unearthed, the rhizomes are washed clean, revealing their light golden color again. The water runs over each curve, tracing back the same paths that soil once held. After cleaning, the ginger is set out to dry, sometimes under the open sun and sometimes in shaded, breezy spaces. This step draws away extra moisture without stealing the life from the root. The surface becomes firm and smooth, ready for cooking, preserving, or trade. In many growing regions, this cycle repeats with dependable rhythm. The planting, tending, and harvesting follow a quiet calendar that aligns more with weather and patience than with strict schedules. Even with the modern pace of agriculture, ginger still insists on its own timing. It reminds those who grow it that good things underground take their time, that growth happens even when nothing appears to be changing. In its full season, ginger holds the memory of the months it spent unseen. It carries in its fibers the heat of the earth, the rhythm of rainfall, and the patient waiting between planting and harvest. Each new rhizome becomes both an end and a beginning. When saved and replanted, it continues the same gentle cycle, a living reminder that the most enduring things grow without hurry, beneath the surface in their own quiet way. Long before it appeared in the kitchens we recognize today, ginger had already been part of human life for longer than memory can easily hold. It grew in the soft, humid soils of the tropics, spreading quietly through forests and gardens, tended by hands that understood its worth without needing to name it. People learned early that the plant they pulled from the ground carried warmth within it. Warmth that could comfort the body, ease the breath, and awaken the senses when mixed with food or drink. The story of ginger's journey is not marked by great turning points, but by the steady movement of people and trade. As travelers crossed waters and walked ancient roads, pieces of the knotted root traveled with them, wrapped in woven cloth, stored with other spices, or dried in delight, fragrant fragments that could last through months at sea. Wherever arrived, it seemed to find a place fitting easily into new landscapes, new cooking pots, new ways of life. Across tropical Asia, the plant was cultivated not only for its flavor, but for its steady usefulness. Harvested rhizomes were sliced and dried in the sun, or preserved in sugar or syrup to last longer. These preparations made it possible for ginger to travel well beyond the climates where it was grown. The dried pieces carried their perfume unchanged, rich with that clean, peppery sweetness that felt familiar even when everything else was unfamiliar. As trade routes expanded, ginger moved quietly with them. It did not demand attention in crowded markets filled with color and noise. It simply appeared, known and trusted, offered in small baskets or bundled together with cinnamon and cardamom. In each new place, it was folded into local dishes with a kind of inevitability. The cooks and healers who received it recognized its warmth and wove it into their own traditions, until the spice became not foreign, but deeply familiar. Along the shores of the Indian Ocean, in the islands of Southeast Asia, and across the early trade ports that faced toward Africa and the Middle East, ginger became part of the shared rhythm of exchange. The rhizomes dried in one climate were ground into powder in another, or simmered whole in sweet syrups that traveled in earthen jars. It survived humidity, salt air, and months of motion because it was durable, generous, and forgiving, a companion to merchants and sailors alike. In markets, the scent of ginger mingled with the fragrance of other spices, forming the layered hum of trade. Warmth, sweetness, resin, and smoke all at once. People grew accustomed to it until they could no longer remember when they had first known that smell. The spice became an expectation, part of the ordinary language of food, its fragrance crossing the boundaries between region and season. In many cultures, ginger's presence deepened through repetition. It appeared at celebrations, in remedies, and in daily meals. It became part of family memory, always there, always recognizable. The way it was used varied with the land, but the core remained constant. The sense of warmth it offered, the clarity it brought to the senses, the reassurance that something small could hold comfort. Over countless generations, ginger moved from being gathered near the home to being harvested, traded, and cultivated on distant shores. Each new cultivation blurred the line between where it began and where it belonged. The plant became at home almost everywhere warm soil would allow it to grow. Through time, it became less the story of one region and more the story of how something familiar can live in many places at once. The history of ginger is not one of sudden discovery or invention. It is the kind that settles in slowly, recognized again and again across centuries. People met it, used it, shared it, and passed it on. Its journey through time is less a line and more a soft circle, continually harvested, dried, traded, and replanted. In that repetition lies its endurance, a quiet movement that links the distant past with every warm drink and recipe in the present. When we hold a piece of ginger now, we are holding something that countless hands have known in the same way, as food, as comfort, as a small but steady source of warmth. Its story lives not in the dates of empires or trade records, but in the simple acts that have never stopped. The planting, the waiting, the harvesting, the drying, and the sharing. That is the long, quiet history of ginger, a history that does not shout, but hums gently beneath everything it touches. Over time, ginger has taken on many forms, each one shaped by simple methods of preparation. None are more important than the others. Each carries the same essence, merely expressed in a different texture or intensity. Together, they show how one ingredient can remain itself while changing shape to meet different kinds of use. The most familiar form is fresh ginger, taken straight from the earth and cleaned of soil. The thin skin remains until it is peeled away, revealing the pale, fragrant flesh. Fresh ginger is firm to the touch, fibrous when cut, and full of sharp, clean aroma. It holds moisture, and with it, a brightness that fades if left too long in open air. To store it, the fresh pieces are often wrapped or sealed, kept cool to hold their aroma. This version captures the plant at its most immediate, offering warmth and freshness wherever a spark is needed, in tea, in soup, or grated into a gentle stir-fry. Dried ginger begins as that same fresh root, sliced into thin rounds and left to rest in warmth. The moisture slowly lifts away, leaving the rings pale, light, and slightly curled. Drying allows ginger to travel and to last. It changes texture and flavor at once. The sharpness softens, and what remains is a deeper warmth, less brightness, more calm. Dried ginger pieces are stored in simple jars or paper packets, kept out of light. They reawaken when simmered in water or broth, releasing a steady, rounded heat that builds rather than bursts. Ground ginger begins from those dried pieces, crushed and milled into fine powder. The scent rises quickly when the jar is opened, filling the air with something at once sweet, dry, and faintly floral. Ground ginger is light and easily scattered, blending evenly into doughs, batters, and spice mixtures. It stores well, keeping for months or years if sealed away from moisture. In the kitchen, it is the quiet companion of cinnamon and clove, present in cakes, biscuits, and warm drinks, giving gentle definition rather than demanding notice. Pickled ginger takes the root in a different direction. Thin slices of fresh ginger are blanched and then soaked in a mixture of vinegar and a touch of sugar. This transforms its natural heat into a clean, crisp brightness. The pale gold of the slices turns faintly pink when young ginger is used, a change brought on by the natural pigments in its skin meeting the vinegar. Pickled ginger is often stored refrigerated, sealed tightly in glass jars where it keeps both color and scent. It is eaten in small, deliberate pieces, a bright pause between bites, a refreshing note amid amid stronger flavors. Candied ginger, sometimes called crystallized ginger, is a way of preserving sweetness and warmth together. The fresh slices are simmered slowly in sugar syrup until they absorb the syrup's weight. Once lifted out and dried, they are dusted with a fine coat of sugar that glitters faintly in the light. The result is soft and chewy, sweet on first taste with a warming spice that follows. It can be kept for long periods in covered containers, where it stays pliant and fragrant. Candied ginger finds its place in small and comforting forms: a snack, a garnish, or a quiet companion to tea on cool afternoons. Each of these forms reflects the same plant, and yet no single one defines it. Fresh or dried, ground or preserved, they all speak of adaptation, of a root that responds to time, technique, and need without losing its identity. Their diversity shows how something humble can remain whole, even while it changes shape to fit the rhythm of daily life. In kitchens around the world, these forms sit side by side. A jar of powder near a packet of dried pieces. A small container of candied ginger tucked beside a cup of pickled slices. Each is ready for its quiet purpose. None declares itself more useful than the others. Together, they make a spectrum of warmth and scent, a kind of soft language that speaks through taste. And those centuries have passed since the first piece of ginger was dried for travel. The gestures remain much the same: cutting, drying, grinding, preserving. Simple acts continued in countless homes, keeping the root alive in form and memory. In most kitchens, ginger does not arrive as the centerpiece. It enters quietly, becoming part of the ordinary rhythm of cooking, a rhythm built from small gestures repeated each day. A piece of fresh ginger may sit on a wooden board beside a knife, waiting to be sliced. Its scent begins to rise as the skin is peeled away. There is nothing hurried about this. The motion is familiar, almost meditative, like a task that has been done countless times before. The root can be prepared in many ways, each one determined by what the cook intends the dish to become. Slicing releases fragrance in clean lines, the smell sharp but kind. Grating exposes the inner fibers, turning the solid flesh into a soft, pulpy paste. Crushing does the same with less precision, using pressure to draw out the juice and oil. However it begins, the purpose remains the same: to let warmth out slowly, ready to mingle with whatever comes next. Ginger is most often added near the beginning of a meal's creation. Dropped into a pan with oil, it softens as the heat rises, blending its freshness into the air before anything else is added. The aroma that escapes is the first sign that something comforting is on its way. Garlic might join next, or onion, or a handful of diced vegetables. These combinations are not precise or ceremonial. They're simply what has always worked. Heat carries their scents upward, turning them into something that feels both familiar and new each time. In soups and stews, the pieces of ginger dissolve slowly. They impart warmth to the broth without demanding attention, leaving behind a note that is felt as much as tasted. The same root, when grated into a sauce or dressing, works differently, brighter, cleaner, with a light that lifts heavier flavors. When infused in syrup or tea, its gentleness spreads evenly, transforming clear water into something fragrant and golden. It adapts easily to its surroundings, never insisting on being noticed. harvest. Most often, ginger works in companionship with other simple ingredients. It finds balance beside the richness of garlic, the freshness of herbs, or the round sweetness of honey. Together, they form harmonies of flavor that feel complete without excess. Very rarely is ginger used alone. Its purpose is collective, to connect, to blend, to round out what would otherwise feel unfinished. There is a quiet generosity in the way it merges rather than competes. In home kitchens, the same motions repeat across generations. The slicing, the sizzling, the turning of wooden spoons, the faint hiss of oil meeting moisture. These are the small repetitions that mark the heartbeat of daily cooking. Within them, ginger plays a supporting rhythm, its fragrance a soft reminder of warmth and familiarity. The hand that adds a small piece today might do the same tomorrow, not out of obligation, but because it feels right. Sometimes, a slice of ginger is dropped directly into a pot of rice or lentils, infusing both with quiet strength. Sometimes, it disappears into a marinade, its presence absorbed into the fabric of a meal before the cooking even begins. It rarely stands apart, but its contribution can always be traced. A brightness that lingers on the tongue, or a sense of balance that makes a dish feel whole. Even in the smallest kitchens, ginger finds purpose. A few shavings stirred into hot water, a spoonful of grated pulp added to a simple stir-fry, a slice left to steep beside a wedge of lemon. These are gestures carried out without fuss. They reflect the steady habits of nourishment, the way familiarity can create calm through routine. Over time, these tiny repetitions become their own quiet tradition, comforting in their predictability and effortless in their grace. The everyday use of ginger, then, is not about invention or novelty. It is about presence, the way a small, ordinary thing can share in countless meals and still feel alive. Its strength lies in repetition, in the quiet promise that a little is enough, and in the sound of a knife meeting the board, in the scent rising from warm oil, in the first taste of something simmered with care. Ginger continues to remind us that even the simplest acts of cooking can hold peace within them. In many homes, ginger becomes part of the smallest moments, the ones that happen almost without thought. It is there in the morning or in the soft edge of evening, when water is poured, spoons are lifted, and the air fills with that gentle, unmistakable scent. Sometimes, it is not even part of a recipe so much as a habit that unfolds through the day. A small act of warmth repeated because it feels right to do so. The simplest preparation begins with water and heat. A few thin slices of ginger are placed in a cup or pot, and hot water is poured over them. The fragments float, then settle, releasing their color and aroma as steam rises. For a while, nothing else happens. The liquid deepens in tone, turning pale gold, then amber. The air carries a brightness that is sharp but comforting, a scent that clears the mind without stirring it. When sipped, the warmth moves slowly through the body, steady and unobtrusive, the kind of quiet comfort that asks for nothing in return. Sometimes the ginger shares the pot with other ingredients, a thread of honey, a few drops of lemon, or a leaf of mint. Each adds something small, yet the essence remains the same. The ritual is gentle, the cutting, the pouring, the waiting. There is no rush toward a goal, only time allowing the warmth to move from one medium to another. It is nourishment in its most patient form, a reminder that not all comfort requires effort. There is another preparation, one that belongs to both home and history, the making of ginger beer. It begins, as so many enduring things do, with a small mixture of water, sugar, and grated ginger left to stand. Within a few days, tiny bubbles rise through the liquid, a quiet sign of life taking shape. This bubbling mixture is often called the ginger mother or the ginger beer plant. It is not a plant in the usual sense, but a living culture, a partnership between yeast and bacteria that grows slowly when fed and cared for. The ginger mother can be kept for years, sometimes handed down from one household to another. It is refreshed with fresh water, sugar, and ginger, and in return, it creates a drink that carries both warmth and lightness, a soft sparkle rather than a sharp fizz. Each new batch is drawn from what already exists, meaning the same culture can outlast generations. Inside these quiet jars, time itself seems to continue without pause, sustained by small acts of attention. Brewing ginger beer in this way becomes less about the drink and more about the rhythm it creates. Each stage invites waiting, the mixing, the resting, the slow rising of bubbles. The scent that emerges is clean and bright, touched with spice, sweetness, and earth. When poured, the result is simple and refreshing, but the deeper beauty lies in its continuity. The same living starter used again and again, linking present to past through something as humble as a spoonful of ginger. In many homes, the ginger mother sits quietly at the back of a shelf or near a sunny window. It waits between uses, patient and alive. Sometimes it sleeps for a while, then wakes again when fed. Its care becomes part of the household routine, another form of quiet tending that fits naturally beside the making of tea or the baking of bread. And just like those familiar tasks, it offers a kind of peace, the calm of watching something living endure, shaped by warmth, attention, and time. In kitchens where broths or soups are often prepared, ginger finds another home. A piece dropped into simmering stock softens through the hours, lending its clean, subtle warmth. It becomes part of the background, inseparable from the other ingredients. Its purpose is not to dominate, but to unify, to pull together the earthiness of vegetables, the salt of seasoning, the quiet sweetness that comes from time spent over heat. When the broth is ladled out, the ginger itself may be removed, its work already complete, its essence left behind in every mouthful. The same can be said for sauces or dressings, where ginger appears not as a visible element, but as a thread of flavor woven through the whole. A small spoonful of grated pulp mixed into oil and vinegar can transform a plain dish into something living and fragrant. When blended with soy sauce, honey, or garlic, it becomes a base that feels both fresh and familiar. Its scent announces itself lightly, a small hum beneath the louder notes, and then recedes back into balance. There are also quiet rituals that use ginger in even simpler ways. A small piece might be kept near the cutting board, ready to be rubbed against the rim of a cup or stirred into a bowl of warm grains. A jar of ginger-infused honey might sit near the stove, its flavor deepening slowly over time. added by instinct rather than measure. These are not recipes written down, but practices remembered by touch and rhythm. Things done almost automatically through repetition that has long since found its own pace. Over days and weeks, these gestures add up to a comforting kind of pattern. The sound of the kettle, the small knife against the board, the rising scent from the cup. Each moment feels ordinary on its own, but together they become a quiet architecture of routine. Ginger, with its warmth and brightness, fits easily into that structure. It becomes part of the atmosphere of home, something always nearby and ready, able to turn water into comfort and motion into rest. What makes these preparations gentle is not their simplicity alone, but their constancy. They do not surprise or change much from one day to the next. Each cup tastes much like the one before it. Each broth carries the same quiet tone. In that sameness lies calm, a familiarity that asks nothing new from us, that holds steady regardless of time or weather. Ginger becomes the link between those moments, carrying warmth forward in small, steady ways, offering ease not through instruction, but through presence. For as long as people have cooked with ginger, they have also turned to it for comfort. Its uses have always been entwined with daily life, never distant or clinical, but part of the same gestures that feed and warm. In many places, it was not considered a rare medicine, but a familiar presence, something reached for instinctively when the body felt the need for steadiness. For countless generations, ginger has been used less as a remedy and more as a quiet form of reassurance. The simplest belief has always been in ginger's warmth. When the days turned colder, or when someone returned home after being caught in rain, a cup of hot water infused with slices of ginger would often be offered. The warmth was said to move gently through the body, easing the chill from within. Some described it as helping the blood to wake. Others simply said it brought color back to the face. However it was explained, the feeling remained the same, comfort spreading outward from a core of heat. In many households, ginger became part of the steady rhythm of digestion. A small piece might be chewed after a meal or boiled with water to make a simple drink that soothed heaviness. Its use was rarely formalized or measured. People trusted that a little was enough. The taste itself, bright and slightly sharp, carried a sense of renewal. It was believed to settle what lay uneasy, to smooth the path of food through the body, and to clear the head after long or rich meals. The scent of ginger alone has often been associated with calm strength. The fragrance rising from a freshly cut piece was thought to clear the mind and lift the spirit, not through any conscious effort, but through familiarity. In homes where the air carried traces of cooking and spice, that scent meant life continuing. Family gathered, nourishment shared, warmth held close against the world outside. Ginger also found its way into simple ointments and household balms. When blended with oils or steeped into infusions, it became a warming liniment to be rubbed into the skin. Farmers, sailors, and workers who spent long days outdoors often used it to ease stiffness at the end of a day. The preparation was humble, a bit of crushed root mixed into whatever oil or fat was at hand. These acts belonged to domestic care, to the quiet understanding that comfort could come from what grew nearby. Across many lands and languages, ginger acquired meanings of vitality and balance. It was not seen as a cure for specific ills, but as a friend to the body's ordinary rhythms. Mothers and grandparents passed down these uses not as strict knowledge, but as habit, spoken of in small sayings or remembered gestures. A slice in hot water for the throat, a bit of dried ginger carried on journeys, a cup shared when someone felt weakened by the season's change. This pattern of trust persisted because it asked for little. No exact measurements, no precise instructions, only faith in repetition and care. The root was placed in the hand, sliced, steeped, or warmed, and something within that act seemed to help. Perhaps it was the motion itself, the preparing, the waiting, the scent rising as if to remind the person that they were being tended to. Ginger's role was not to perform miracles, but to offer the ordinary kindness of warmth. What kept these practices alive was not proof, but experience. Each generation found its own small reasons to keep them. The way the taste lingered pleasantly after a meal, the way the heat in a cup eased a restless night, the way the fragrance seemed to restore quiet focus. Over centuries, the same gestures repeated, changing slightly with language and custom, yet always carrying that same soft intention. When we speak of ginger's place in medicinal folklore today, it is less about cause and effect than about memory and care. It belongs to the world of domestic healing, the touch of a hand, the warmth of a cup, the knowledge that comfort can grow from the earth. Unlike measured medicine, it occupies a gentler space, a rhythm of human reassurance that continues simply because it has always worked in the ways that matter most. Ginger's story in care and comfort is not one of grand discovery, but of quiet persistence. It remains a part of ordinary life, steeped, chewed, or simply kept nearby. It continues to bridge the distance between the body and the earth, offering warmth that is as much emotional as physical. Through so many generations, that has been enough. A root remembered for its steadiness, passed on quietly through the hands of those who still trust what grows close to home. By the time recorded history began shaping the stories of trade and faith, ginger was already known. It traveled steadily along the same paths as the other familiar spices, cinnamon, pepper, and myrrh, carried by merchants who understood not only their value, but their reliability. Ginger was prized not because it was rare, but because it lasted, dried and packed. It endured the length of long journeys. Its fragrance remained true even after weeks in the heat of travel, and so it became one of those goods that moved easily between lands. In the bustling markets of ancient port cities, where goods from many regions were exchanged, ginger found its quiet place among baskets of aromatic roots and leaves. The air in those spaces would have been thick with different scents, sharp, sweet, resinous, and smoky. Ginger's note was lighter, not dominant, but present, recognizable even in the mixture. For traders, it was dependable, a spice that kept its worth without calling much attention to itself. Ships and caravans carried it across warm seas and dry landscapes, from the islands where it was grown to the larger centers of trade where people gathered to barter for textiles, salt, and grain. Within those exchanges, ginger was part of the background rhythm of commerce. It never needed to be announced. It was already understood. Records and tablets mention spices in general, but few distinguish which were considered precious and which were simply expected. Ginger belonged to that latter category, valued, respected, and ordinary all at once. In households of the time, especially along the routes of exchange through Asia, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean, ginger appeared quietly in many forms. It was mixed with oil, added to wine, steeped in broths, or blended with honey. It settled into the kitchens of both modest homes and grand houses, serving the same role it always had: a small source of warmth and comfort within the larger fabric of daily living. The ways it was used were practical, shaped by climate and availability more than ceremony. In written records from the ancient world, ginger is sometimes listed alongside spices that carried higher status. Yet its mention feels different, less about luxury, more about continuity. It stood beside storied ingredients like frankincense and cassia, but remained grounded in the world of touch and taste. A spice that connected trade ships with home kitchens, bridging the distance between far-off markets and the steady rhythm of cooking fires. During the biblical era, ginger would have been one of many traded goods that moved through the same networks linking India, Arabia, and the Eastern Mediterranean. It was known, but quietly so, its familiarity ensuring its constant presence, even without exaltation. People may not have spoken of it in poetic terms, yet they trusted its value. It was part of the ordinary abundance that trade provided, a sign not of wealth but of connection. Within the language of those early times, ginger was understood through use rather than symbol. It flavored meals, eased the body, warmed the senses. It appeared as part of stored supplies, ready to be weighed, exchanged, and used. The fact that it endured through the shifting empires and faiths of the era speaks less to status and more to character. The steadiness of a root that served anyone who needed its scent and taste. To imagine ginger in those distant centuries is to picture it not as treasure locked away, but as something moved by ordinary hands. A small dried piece measured on a scale, a parcel of spice tucked among textiles, a gift passed between households. It was known, trusted, and quietly present in the scenes of domestic life that unfolded beside the vast histories we remember. Through that presence, ginger became one of the countless threads that bound ancient communities together, a companion to trade, to food, and to the familiar acts of care that changed little as time moved on. There's a quiet moment that begins before cooking when a piece of ginger rests on the board, waiting to be handled. It looks unassuming, its outer surface dry and slightly wrinkled, its curves uneven. The light catches the faint sheen of its skin. This is where the work begins, not hurriedly, but with a kind of listening. Preparing ginger has always been as much about the slowness of the motions as the outcome itself. The first step is to break the root into smaller pieces. Each section follows the shape of the original rhizome, splitting cleanly along the natural joints where one curve meets another. The sound it makes is soft, a quiet crack or sigh as the fibers separate. The hand learns where to press and when to stop. No strength is needed, only a gentle certainty. Each smaller piece fits more easily in the palm, ready for what comes next. The thin skin is waiting to be peeled. Many people use a spoon or the edge of a small knife. The dull surface scrapes away the outer layer, revealing the smooth and slightly moist flesh below. The color deepens from tan to pale gold. The scent rises at once, fresh, bright, and familiar. It lingers in the air as the fingers move, the rhythm steady and unbroken. Each stroke clears a small surface, uncovering texture and pattern in the flesh of the root. The peel collects along the edge of the board, curling faintly as it dries. Once the skin has been removed, the ginger is ready to be cut. Some pieces will be sliced thick, others paper thin. The thickness depends only on intention, perhaps a few broad discs for a simmering broth or fine shavings for tea. The knife meets the flesh with quiet resistance. The fibers give way cleanly, releasing that sharp, warm scent again. The act of slicing is measured. The sound of the blade against the board forms a soft cadence that feels balanced and sure. To grate ginger is another rhythm entirely. The tool meets the root in short, repeated strokes. The motion draws patterns of pulp and juice, a fine texture that holds more scent than the cut slices. The fragrance fills the space between movements, vivid but never harsh. It settles on the hands and lingers there, a reminder that something ordinary can also feel alive. When the grating stops, the sound fades gently into stillness. Nothing about the pace needs to change. These motions repeat as needed, peeling, slicing, grating, each step following naturally from the one before it. There is no single right way, only the consistency of gesture and care. The mind can wander safely within that repetition, moving with the small rhythm of the work. The motions create their own sense of time, a few minutes that stretch wide enough to hold stillness. When the pieces are ready, they rest on the board like fragments of sunlight. Some will be used immediately, others saved for later, perhaps wrapped in cloth or sealed in a small jar. The preparation leaves faint traces, a small dampness on the surface, a fragrance that stays even after the pieces are cleared away. The scent becomes part of the air, marking the place and the moment quietly. Preparing ginger in this way does not demand focus in the strict sense. It invites ease, the kind of attention that stems from familiarity. Each gesture is small, but together they create a continuing rhythm, breaking, peeling, slicing, grating. These are motions that have lasted through generations, always the same, always enough. Through them, time slows naturally, and the world narrows to the sound of a knife, the scent of spice, and the calm certainty of a task well known. In kitchens everywhere, ginger finds its way into small, everyday preparations. Each has its own quiet pattern, a few ingredients, a handful of emotions, and a pause while warmth or time does the rest. These recipes are not for achievement. They are for the steady reassurance of steps repeated in the same order, leading somewhere familiar and kind. Ginger tea. Begin with a piece of fresh ginger, no larger than the palm of your hand. Rinse it and slice it into thin rounds, each one gleaming faintly in the light. Place the slices in a small pot or cup. Pour hot water over them, not boiling but near enough to release the scent. Steam rises, carrying that clean, bright fragrance into the air. A spoon of honey can be added, or a few drops of lemon, though the tea stands well on its own. Allow it to rest for several minutes before drinking. During that time, the water deepens in color and the warmth gathers quietly. There is no need to watch for change. It happens by itself. When sipped, the tea is clear and alive, a gentle reminder of what a few small pieces of root and water can become. Pickled ginger. Pickled ginger begins with new, tender roots, pale in color and delicate in taste. The ginger is peeled, then cut into thin sheets that bend easily between the fingers. A small pot holds a mixture of vinegar and sugar, warmed just enough for the sugar to dissolve. As the liquid cools slightly, the slices are placed inside, their soft edges curling under the heat. The jar is left to rest while the colors shift slowly, pale gold to faint pink, the natural pigments rising through the liquid. Once sealed, it can rest for a day or more before being opened again. The result is less important than the act itself. The preparation, the sealing, the waiting. Over time, the ginger becomes both tender and bright, ready to appear beside meals as a quiet note of contrast. Ginger added to soup or broth. For soup or broth, ginger works best when introduced early. A few thick slices or a spoonful of grated pulp are added to warm oil or water before anything else. The scent fills the space around the stove, spreading outward with the rising steam. Vegetables, grains, or herbs may follow, and everything softens together over time. The pot simmers gently, the flavors blending as sound and scent and warmth mingle in the air. From time to time, the surface is stirred, but there is very little that needs attention. The ginger gives its warmth slowly, leaving the broth calm and rounded. When the stove is turned off, the pot is best left to rest. A few minutes of quiet before serving, while the last bubbles fade and the flavors settle into one another. Ginger-spiced baking. In baked food, ginger takes on a different character. A small amount of ground ginger, measured loosely by spoon or by memory, is stirred into flour, sugar, and other familiar ingredients. The dry spices meet the wet ones, butter, syrup, or milk, and the scent rises instantly, even before the oven's warmth does its work. Mixing moves slowly here. Each turn of the spoon folds the spice through the batter until the color becomes even. The dough or mixture rests for a little while, giving the ginger time to bloom within it. In that waiting, the kitchen often grows warm with anticipation rather than urgency. When baked, the air fills with sweetness edged by something quietly sharp. The exact texture or shape matters little. What remains is the memory of that scent, a calm mingling of sugar, spice, and time. Every one of these preparations follows the same steady rhythm. Gather, cut, combine, wait. None require precision beyond attention itself. Ginger offers its best through patience and repetition. The same steps practiced again and again, always returning warmth that feels unchanged no matter how much time has passed. In these small acts, a pattern of calm unfolds. The meeting of hands and scent and time, shaping something simple, familiar, and quietly whole. Once the work of cooking or preparing is done, ginger returns to rest. It waits quietly for the next use, its energy gathered back into stillness. The way it is kept depends on its form, but the intention remains the same, to preserve its quiet warmth until it is needed again. Nothing about this is urgent. The keeping of ginger is a gentle reminder that not everything has to move quickly. Fresh ginger, newly cut or unpeeled, keeps best where the air is cool and dry. Many people wrap it loosely in cloth or paper before placing it away from direct light. The skin holds enough protection on its own, so the goal is not to seal it, but to let it breathe. Left this way, it rests easily for days or weeks, its scent softening with time, but never quite fading. When the root is lifted again, perhaps a small portion is cut away, leaving the rest to continue its quiet waiting. If longer keeping is needed, fresh ginger can find shelter in the cold. Stored in a simple container or wrapped gently in paper, it settles among other ingredients in the lower part of a refrigerator. The air there is still, the temperature low enough to hold its moisture. Each time the container is opened, the faint scent of spice escapes, a familiar breath of warmth beneath the cool air. The pieces are taken as needed, perhaps sliced one day and grated the next, always leaving something behind for later. Dried ginger belongs to a different kind of keeping. Once the moisture is gone, it becomes lighter, more durable, and patient in its own way. The dried slices or pieces rest in small jars or cloth bags, waiting quietly on shelves. They hold their character almost unchanged, so long as they are kept away from dampness and direct sunlight. When stored this way, months can pass without loss. The air inside the container keeps a faint trace of its fragrance, a gentle promise that warmth will return when called upon. Ground ginger, finely milled to powder, finds its home in small jars or tins with tightly fitting lids. It sits alongside other familiar spices, an unspoken part of the household rhythm. Each time the jar is opened, the scent drifts outward, light, dry, and recognizable, then disappears again when the lid is closed. The powder has its own patience. It may rest through the seasons before being stirred into cake batter or mixed with warm water, yet it never seems forgotten. Like the dried form, it is content to wait. In every kitchen, these different forms of ginger occupy small, steady places, on a shelf, in a drawer, beside jars of tea or grains. They do not ask for attention. Their presence is quiet, constant, part of the landscape of keeping. When one jar grows empty, another is opened, or a new piece is brought from the market. The act of replacement feels like continuation rather than renewal, as though the same thread of warmth passes effortlessly from one piece to the next. Ginger's gift is that it keeps both its essence and its calm while resting. Unlike ingredients that demand haste or special treatment, it offers patience. It reminds us that keeping can be its own kind of care, a form of watchfulness without worry. The stored root, the jar of powder, the small bag of dried slices all carry the same quiet endurance, holding warmth until the moment it is needed again. Over time, this cycle becomes a household rhythm. The ginger gradually used, the container slowly emptied, the new piece chosen and placed where the old one once rested. It is a simple continuity that mirrors the plant's life underground, a slow persistence, season after season. In the calm of storage, ginger continues its gentle work, not by action, but by presence. It waits, unchanged yet always ready, a small teacher of patience in the ordinary spaces of home. In most kitchens, ginger does not stand at the center. It moves quietly in the background, supporting what surrounds it. Its work is rarely the first thing tasted or seen, yet it is felt, a small thread of warmth that holds the rest together. The pieces of a meal come alive not through its strength, but through the steadiness it lends. That is the nature of ginger, patient, gentle, and essential in ways often understood only by its absence. When cooking begins, ginger often enters early, but disappears later into the heart of the dish. A few slices placed in warm oil, a spoonful of grated pulp stirred in a broth, a pinch of powder folded into dough. Always small, never excessive. The actions are brief and familiar, woven into the routine of ordinary meals. What remains after these steps is an invisible influence. The fragrance is part of the air. The warmth is part of the food. In daily cooking, ginger has a habit of becoming second nature. The hand reaches for it automatically, perhaps without thought. Its presence is expected, like salt, like water, like the steady rhythm of the stove being lit at day's end. A little is used, never measured precisely. The cook trusts the sense of enough, learn over time. The root's role is simple but constant, to deepen flavor, to calm sharp edges, to create a feeling of coherence among other ingredients. Those who cook often might not pause to think about ginger's contribution. They may not notice when it is there, but they feel its absence immediately. A broth seems flatter, a sauce less inviting. The difference is subtle but unmistakable, like the quiet missing note in a familiar melody. Ginger is not the song itself. It is the hum that keeps everything in key. Its small strength underscores and steadies, giving comfort through continuity. Across different meals and cultures, ginger behaves the same way. It adapts to what surrounds it, lending harmony rather than direction. In one kitchen, it lives beside chilies and garlic. In another, it hums beneath the sweetness of sugar and spice. Yet the feeling it brings, that sense of warmth beneath the surface, remains constant. Its quiet versatility binds together dishes that might otherwise seem unrelated. Through its consistency, it becomes something more than flavor, a form of reassurance that warmth and balance can coexist. Perhaps that is why ginger endures in daily life, long after other spices have come and gone from fashion. It does not chase novelty or demand attention. It simply continues doing what it has always done, offering steadiness. In every small use, it becomes a mirror of the everyday itself, modest in appearance, infinite in repetition, full of meaning only when considered closely. A jar of ginger on a shelf, a few pieces kept near the stove, a trace of its scent lingering on the air. These are signs of continuity. They speak to the quiet companionship between food and time, between the hands that prepare and the meals that follow. There is comfort in that background role, in being both essential and unobtrusive. It is an honesty of purpose, to serve, to support, to warm. In this way, ginger becomes more than an ingredient. It becomes a small symbol of constancy, the part of life that does not ask to be praised, yet shapes every familiar thing we love. It carries no ceremony, no triumph, only presence. To notice it is to see how much of daily life depends on what moves beneath the surface, the flavors that never shout but always remain, the warmth that lingers quietly long after the meal is done. Somewhere, in a kitchen that looks like many others, a small piece of ginger rests on a board. The knife is clean, the light is low, and the air still carries a faint trace of warmth from the cooking that came before. Nothing urgent remains to be done. The pots have cooled. The water has settled in their base. The space feels full but quiet, holding the gentle aftersound of use. The remaining piece of ginger waits without hurry. Its skin has darkened softly where it was cut, but the scent still lingers the same, sharp, clean, and warm. It rests near other small things, a jar half filled with salt, the corner of a towel, the reflection of glass catching what little light is left. It belongs here among these familiar objects, each serving its time in silence. Around it, the room seems slow and certain. The air holds that faint mixture of spice and wood that always follows a day of cooking. The sound of the outside world folds away at the edges. There is nothing to conclude, only the steady presence of things at rest. The board, the knife, the root, the cooling air. They exist together in one continuing moment, neither beginning nor ending, simply being. Somewhere else, perhaps another kitchen, another piece of ginger waits the same way. It is part of someone else's rhythm. Morning tea, evening broth, the preparing of something simple and kind. Across all of these quiet scenes, the pattern repeats. The cutting, the stirring, the scent rising, the stillness returning. Each one mirrors the next, like a soft refrain that keeps the world gently threaded together. The root that sits untouched will one day be used. It will be peeled, sliced, or grated, its warmth folded once more into the familiar motion of everyday life. It will dissolve in a soup, steep in a cup, or rest sweetly in syrup. The same essence reappearing again and again. Nothing is ever lost. The rhythm simply continues in new shapes. All around, life moves quietly in that same measured way. The cupboards close, the kettle cools, and still the scent of ginger lingers faintly where air and memory meet. When light shifts, it touches the pale gold of a cleaned cutting board. Even then, the root remains, waiting as it always has, steady, unchanged, fully itself. There is no ending to speak of here, no summary to hold on to. Only the suggestion that things carry on, as they have always done, the same gestures repeated in their own time, the same small acts finding new days to belong to. The warmth that was drawn from the ginger tonight will return again another day, part of the endless quiet exchange between hand, spice, and air. Somewhere, someone is beginning to cook, just as someone else finishes. A pot lifts its first thin curl of steam. A piece of ginger meets water. The cycle turns untroubled, and the scent rises once more, familiar, balanced, unhurried. The story does not close. It only drifts onward, blending into the hush of